a fifth-generation Texan with a lifetime of connections right here to AISD. A first-generation lawyer having attended UT Law and a member of the inaugural women's rowing team at UT Austin. A senior partner at Scott Douglas and I did not write that well enough. Mechanico, with over 2 decades of experience. Please join me in welcoming our candidate for the 250th District Court, Kennon Lily Wooten.
Thank you for the introduction, and thanks everyone for being here. I really appreciate the opportunity to visit with you and tell you about this court, a little bit about me and why I'm running. So again, my name is Kennon Lily Wooten, and I'm running for the 250th Civil District Court in Travis County. One thing that you might be wondering is, what geographic region is that? Well, it's countywide. In Texas, as they create the district courts, they number them sequentially. So 250 just reflects when it was created, not the people who can vote for it. Everyone in Travis County can vote for the next elected judge of this court. So this particular court is one that Judge Karen Crump was in before she got elected to the 3rd Court of Appeals. She had 2 years remaining on her term when she got elected, so the governor has appointed somebody to serve out that term. I don't have an opponent in the Democratic primary, so my goal is to take the seat back for Democrats in November of 2026. So you already heard a little bit about me. I'll tell you a little bit more just so you know the roots in case they matter to you. So I've lived in Austin most of my life. I did spend a few years in Elgin, getting that country girl vibe, swimming in a stock pond with snakes and turtles. That'll make you tough. And I, like you said, I went to undergrad at UT and then law school at UT. I have been a lawyer for over 20 years. The path I've had is a little, I would say, varied from some others in that I've moved around. So I started out clerking for former Chief Justice Wallace Jefferson at the Supreme Court of Texas. And after that, I went to an international law firm called Baker Botts in Austin, where I worked for a few years. And then I went back to the Supreme Court of Texas to be something called the rules attorney. And if you don't know, the Supreme Court of Texas has very broad rulemaking authority. They promulgate and amend rules like rules of appellate procedure, civil procedure, rules of evidence, all the rules that people have to follow in the court. So I held that position for a few years, and then I decided I wanted to go local with the firm. So I've been at Scott Douglas & Mechanico, a local firm in Austin, since going back into private practice in 2011. My practice is broad-ranging in scope. It's all civil in nature, but very, very broad in terms of what crosses my desk. Just to give you a feel for that, it could be that it's a divorce and I'm representing current wife in an ongoing dispute between ex-spouses. I do a lot of commercial litigation involving companies. I do a lot of litigation involving breach of contract issues. I also represent judges when they get into situations where somebody is filing grievances against them. I also advise lawyers on rule-related matters and serve now as the interim general counsel at my firm, helping out with various issues that come up when you are in the practice of law. So the reason I'm telling you about this practice of mine is because the court that I'm running for is one of general jurisdiction. In Texas, the district courts, by and large, there are over 500 of them, they have general jurisdiction. So they can hear civil matters, criminal matters, family law matters. In the larger counties like Travis, like Harris, they'll make that a little narrower in scope. So here in Travis County, we've got a lot of district courts that do civil and family law matters, and that's the one I'm running for. The reason I think it's good to have a practice like mine that has a broad subject matter is because it prepares me to sit on a court where I'm gonna see a lot of different types of cases crossing the bench, and it's not going to intimidate me the way it might if I were in a really narrow practice of law and had never seen the bulk of what's coming across the bench. There's no way to know it all in the law. It changes constantly. So another thing I've tried to do as a lawyer is stay on top of the developments to the extent possible. And things I've done in that regard, I speak a lot at continuing legal education events. I've co-authored a book on discovery practices in Texas because there are all kinds of discovery fights in courts. That's something I need to know as a litigator and something I'll need to know as a judge. I've also authored articles on various legal issues, All of that in an effort to try to stay on top of legal development so I can be a good lawyer for my clients and then ultimately one day be a good judge. I have wanted to be a judge for over 20 years. It started when I was in law school. And I think the main reason, if I had to sit and identify the driving reason, it's to serve. I have been driven by service for as long as I can remember, and I thank my parents for that. They're people who worked full-time when I was growing up, but they also played music, old-time music, traditional music, and they volunteered in the community. They were on nonprofit boards for as long as I can remember, and they just taught me about how important it is to be in the community and to help out. And that's kind of continued on throughout my life. I also like to thank Tracy Chapman when I talk about this, and here's why. She was one of my spiritual teachers when I was coming of age. I had her cassette tapes then, and I played them on repeat, and really a message that stuck was all that you have is your soul. And I think we're all aware that life is precious, every day is a gift. And when I think about what makes my soul sing, it's different for everybody, but it's service. And so I want to get into a space where I'm doing something that feels aligned with what makes me feel like I'm personally living a meaningful life. So that's the main reason I'm running, is to dedicate the rest of my career to service. Other reasons I'm running, I want to foster faith in our courts. It's shaken right now, and that's understandable. We have great judges here in Travis County. We have great judges elsewhere in our state and in our country, and we have some that are doing things at a very high level that make us question a lot about our court system and what we can trust and what we can rely on. What we thought we knew were concrete rights that have gone away quickly. So I want to be a part of the team in Travis County that's fostering faith in the courts. I also am running because I want to honor the rule of law. As you can tell by what I told you about being a rules attorney, I like rules. I'm a rule follower, and I've continued to actually work on rule-related matters in a volunteer capacity on committees, boards, task forces, etc. So that's something that matters a lot to me. I think it gives us structure. I think it helps people understand how things are going to work when they move through what can be very stressful, and that is the court system. I'm also running because I want to do what I can to increase access to justice. In our state, we have a growing gap, and so many people cannot afford to get the legal services they need. You can help those people as a judge by helping them with navigating the court system, by doing things that help them understand how things work as opposed to making it off-putting and confusing. And so I want to be a part of the team that we have in Travis County that's increasing access to justice. So those are the main reasons. I have a website. You can learn more about me if you'd like. It's KennonLilyWooten.com, and I know that's a mouthful, so just think it's Kennon, like John Lennon with a K, Lily like the flower, and Wooten, W-O-O-T-E-N. I'd be honored to earn your support, and I'll be around if you have questions later. Thank you.